Coming up, we look at the remains of the Ghooli ghost town in the Wheatbelt. Welcome back everyone. Today we're going to have a look at the Ghooli ghost town site. I hesitate to call it a ghost town. It's more a settlement, and I think it's got a fabulous name. I've heard it called Ghooli, but I like to call it Ghooli, which I've also heard it called, and I think it's an amazing name, particularly for an abandoned place. Now, if you're not familiar, these are little settlements which sprang up to service the pumping equipment for the amazing engineering project, which is the Goldfields pipeline, which pumps water all the way from Perth inland up to 600 kilometres away, all the way to Kalgoorlie, and obviously provides water along the way. Now, this settlement was pretty much there right up until the late 60s and early 70s, when it finally became automated. Before that time, the pumping station used to burn coal and even wood, so they could keep the pumps going 24 hours a day, pumping the water. There's also a large reservoir tank you can see there now when it's been modernised. Now, there are the remains also of, I saw 3 houses which housed the families which obviously were living there, and that's why I sort of call it a ghost town, because it was a sort of settlement. And for many years I drove past here thinking that people actually still lived in these houses because they looked in reasonable condition. But no, they're actually empty as far as I could see, and we went quite close to one of them and was in poor condition. It's a little bit sad they've just been left here, and I'm hoping that in future years they might actually try to keep it as a historical reminder of these important places. Now, the other main feature is this huge chimney which is coming up from the old pump station, and that's obviously where they would burn the fuel to keep the pumps going. You've also got the opportunity to see the amazing pipeline which runs approximately 600 kilometres, and these old stations were about 50 to 100 kilometres, every 50 to 100 kilometres, all the way from Perth inland. And yeah, you can see the pipeline. It's really quite an engineering marvel. Now, the other buildings which are there, like I mentioned, there's also a sort of reservoir where they sort of keep water, and they're sort of there so that they can manage the water so that it's a constant flow and it's pumped all the way there. And there's other old remains and artifacts dotted around the area. Otherwise, you can just stop here and walk around. Now, just be aware, I'm recording this in October 2023, and I believe the site is going to be closed for a few months because they're going to remove asbestos from the old building. So depending on when you watch this, I'm not sure how much of the site will be accessible. I mean, when I was there a couple of months ago, you could still walk around, but the actual pumping station was sealed off, and rightly so. Anyway, that's all my information from the fantastic and really interesting little place called Ghooli, and it's only about 20 kilometres from Southern Cross, and I highly recommend you stop there if you ever do the trip between Perth and Kalgoorlie. Alright, thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something, and I really appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that too. Take care out there, and bye for now. Cheers.